Chapter 22. Sooner or later, fate puts us together with all the people, one by one, who show us what we could and shouldn't let ourselves become. Sooner or later, we meet the drunkard, the waster, the betrayer, the ruthless mind, and the hate-filled heart. But fate loads the dice, of course, because we usually find ourselves loving or pitying almost all of those people. And it's impossible to despise someone you honestly pity and to shun someone you truly love. I sat beside Khaled in the darkness as the taxi took us to the business of crime. I sat beside him in the drift of colored shadows, loving the honesty and toughness in him and pitying the hatreds that weakened him and lied to him. And his face, reflected sometimes in the night that filled the window, was as drenched in destiny and as radiant as the faces found in paintings of doomed and haloed saints. So in a paragraph like that from chapter 22, which of course all these paragraphs you work on many times, you write them over and over again. And when you finally find a draft that works for you, it's a similar journey to the one that I mentioned from chapter 18. What we have here is a journey through levels of understanding of other people. It's putting into practice the love your enemies principle, which was given to us by Jesus. This concept and this way of thinking can express itself by empathizing with, understanding the very people whom you will not become like or hope you don't become like. But you can't really defend yourself against such things that happen in your life without the empathy to understand them in the first place. And I can tell you that in writing that paragraph, I listed all of my own faults. Everything I mentioned there is a negative thing about other people who are going to come into your life and who are going to challenge you or who are going to present to you that mirror image you should perhaps not become. I have been that myself. So digging into your own honest reflections on yourself, particularly on the negatives in yourself, is that rich vein from which you can produce a paragraph that is from your own experience, but is put there for every person who's ever interacted with others in some kind of negative experience. So a paragraph like this, written over and again, should have its own cadence, it should have its own rhythm, it should have its own flow. The reader should be able to pick it up and do a cold read and not stumble with it, so you write it hundreds of times until you get the rhythm and the flow working. And it should also take you to a kind of conclusion. In this case, I have tried to draw this fanatical mind of my character Khaled in the book. I've tried to draw an image of him which is perhaps the same kind of intensity, the same infatuation almost with an idea that saints have and the depictions we have of them in the Christian tradition, where we see them with their halos and their light and so on, but also with their suffering many times, because many of them were martyrs. So I tried to draw this illusion, in a sense, to have this picture of him reflected in the taxi window, to try to leave readers with an image that they can create in their own mind, with images of flashing lights and neon lights and colored reflections and raindrops catching colors to make a mosaic of a human face that is at the one hand possessed by a fanatical idea, but at the on the other side of it is still a radiant soul waiting perhaps to be redeemed, waiting perhaps to be saved, waiting perhaps to be reached, that both things are with us at all times and there is no one who is beyond redemption. So that's a little view into how I put some of these paragraphs together and how I probably read them when I'm writing them myself, how I read them out. And I hope that you enjoy that. If you do, we'll put a few more of these together from The Mountain Shadow. There's a few paragraphs in there that I'd really like to share with you. Blessings and love from beautiful Jamaica, GDR out.